outside, but we've got a nice cozy setting for today's non-conference meeting here at the Edward T. Barry Ice Rink between UMass Boston and Amherst College. The two teams meeting for the first time since all the way back in February of 2015. It was Amherst earning a 4-2 victory over UMass Boston with a pair of goals late in the third period. That 2015-2016 season saw both of these teams have one of the best seasons in program history. Amherst winning 21 games in the regular season, their most ever. They went on to make the NCAA tournament, falling in the first round to SUNY Plattsburgh. UMass Boston won their first ever conference championship, upsetting Norwich in the conference championship game, a program record 19 wins. The Beacons fell to Middlebury College. Both of those losses, kind of understandable when you look at two of the premier programs in all of Division III women's hockey. This year, well, neither team has necessarily started the exact same way as they were back in that 2015-2016 season. UMass Boston sits at 5-7, but 4-3 in New England Hockey Conference play. Amherst College 3-5, 1-4 in conference play. Both teams have been scuffling a little bit entering the new year, but a big conference win on Saturday. Amherst, their first win on the road this season, their first conference win of the season, as they defeated Connecticut College 4-1 down in Connecticut on Saturday at Dayton Arena. For UMass Boston, they traveled up to Castleton University, went up 1-0 on the first collegiate goal from Gabby Shantz, a Vermont native. Quickly found themselves down 2-1 as Castleton evened the score less than 30 seconds later and scored a power play goal. But Katie Wilbert, the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania native sophomore, scored 2 goals in the span of 2 minutes and 39 seconds to give the Beacons the lead late in the third, and they held on as UMass Boston snapped a 3-game losing streak, all against NESCAC foes. The Beacons, with their fourth and final game against teams out of the New England Small College Athletic Conference. They lost to Bowdoin College here at home in their last home game 44 days ago, all the way back in late November. That one ended up being a 4-2 defeat, then a tough loss at Connecticut College in which they outshot the Camels but fell short 3-2 in early December, and then falling to number 1 Middlebury College 8-0 to start January. So the Beacons in a bit of a slide, able to get out of it against Castleton. On the opposite side for Amherst, the defending NESCAC tournament champs all the way back in 2019-20, as neither of these two teams had a season a year ago. Amherst back in 2019-20 as the 3 seed were able to earn their first conference tournament title in a decade. In that span, they were able to come up with wins over Colby College and Middlebury College to earn the conference title, but a very different looking roster this year for the Mammoths, losing 11 of their 21 players. They replaced them with 11 newcomers, all playing their first collegiate season, and they're off to a bit of a rough start, getting swept on the road against Hamilton College to open conference play and their season. They also were swept by Middlebury at home. Nothing to cry about in that one, considering Middlebury is undefeated and the undisputed number 1 team in the country right now. They also fell to number 7 Nazareth. So they've been playing tough competition, really scuffling, looking to get a little bit of momentum right now, trying to win back-to-back games for just the second time this season. The Beacons trying to do the same after their win over Castleton. Right now, let's take a look at highlights from the last time these two teams met, just the 4th all-time meeting between the two sides. This was back in 2015 as Amherst College used 2 late goals to defeat the Beacons 4-2.
We're 1,000 miles from comfort. We have traveled land and sea. But as long as you are with me, there's no place I'd rather be. I would wait forever Kyoto to the bay, strolling so casually. We're different and the same. Gave you another name. Switch up the batteries. If you gave me a chance, I would take it. It's a shot in the dark, but I'll make it. Knowing the hope you can't shame me when I am with you. There's no place I'd rather be. 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 We set out on a mission to find our inner peace, make it everlasting, so nothing's incomplete. It's easy being with you, sacred simplicity. As long as we're together.
Those are the highlights from the last meeting between these two teams here at the Edward T. Barry Ice Rink. And overall, the Beacons have never defeated Amherst here at home. Their lone win came back in 2004 on the road. They lost here 4-3 in overtime in 2005 and then 5-2 at Amherst in 2006. Let's take a look right now while we've got a moment at the statistics for these two sides, as UMass Boston has struggled scoring this season. It's been one of the difficulties they've had over a number of years, but they've been really good on the penalty kill at 85.7%. Amherst, a little bit earlier in their season, Amherst has played just 8 games. The Beacons already have played 12. Much better on the power play, but they have struggled on the PK. So special teams could be a bit interesting. Neither team takes a lot of penalties. Amherst, it's interesting, they average 32.5 shots per game. They give up just 22.5. Big part of that is when they've been able to dominate their opponents, they've really dominated their opponents. In their 3 victories, this weekend against Conn College and earlier this season against Johnson & Wales and Manhattanville, they've outscored their opponents 15-5 and allowed just 31 total shots in those 3 games. When they've struggled, when they've lost this season, in those 5 games, they've been outscored 11-3, and they've given up 30.2 shots per game. So we'll be able to tell kind of early on how this matchup will look. If the Beacons can stick with the Mammoths, get some shots off, get some goals, could be a very close contest as we take a look at our players to watch in this game. First for the Beacons, it's the reigning NEHC Rookie of the Week, Katie Wilbert, who comes in tied for the Beacons team lead with 4 goals and 2 assists and a team best +4 rating as she scored twice in the win over Castleton the other day. Now let's take a look for the Mammoths and their player to watch. It's a local product. Amherst has a couple Massachusetts natives, but Carly Daly is about as close as you can get to the Beacons campus here in Dorchester. Alston, Mass native, just on the other side of Boston. 3 goals, 4 assists for Daly, who's the team leader. She's also got 29 shots, which is second best on the team, and has had points in 4 of her 8 games this year. She had a goal on Saturday against Connecticut College. We'll take a break for the national anthem and be back with the opening puck drop here from the Edward T. Barry Ice Rink. Before we get the opening puck drop, let's talk about the lineups today. Both of these teams are very small rosters. 21 players for the Beacons, 22 for Amherst, or 21 for Amherst as well. The Beacons have 20 with just 2 goalies. Both teams have 3 players out. The Beacons had 2 out on Saturday in Anna Gustafson and Corinne Tretchell. Tretchell returns, but Allie Riefler and Margot Butters are unavailable today. So the Beacons have just 5 defensemen with Butters out and 10 forwards. On the opposite side for Amherst for the second consecutive game, they are without the services of Maggie Grozik, Chia Servali, and Sydney Rass. So they're without 3 forwards. They dress just 9 forwards and 6D. The interesting decision today is Kayla Bush, the true freshman out of Manhattan Beach, California, will make her collegiate debut. Bush, who played with the Anaheim Lady Ducks at the 19 and under AAA level, had a 2.07 goals against average, an .895 save percentage a year ago, and she'll make her debut as they sit Caitlin Walker, their senior starter and All-American back in 2019-20, and Anna Kriesel, the senior backup out of Wayzata, Minnesota, is the backup today. Amherst in the road purples and white, going from right to left, wins the opening draw. UMass Boston, their home whites with the blue numbers and blue trim, going from left to right. Beacons going with Victoria Kennedy in net. She's played every game this season and all but 34 minutes and 25 seconds. Romy Tebow came on to close out the game against Middlebury earlier on this month. Beacons coming off a 3-2 win over Castleton. Amherst coming off a 4-1 victory over Conn College, both on the road, both playing just one single conference game this weekend after they were originally scheduled to play 2. COVID is just going to continue to be a factor, at least in the foreseeable future. As games get canceled, postponed, and moved around from left to right. This game originally was scheduled for earlier on this month at Amherst, but was postponed and moved here to the Beacons campus. Katie Leffler with it. She's out there with Katie Wilbert and Emily Franciskowitz on the Beacon second line, who gets the start today. Wilbert, of course, 2 goals in 2:39 on Saturday, as the Beacons have mixed and matched their lines over winter break. We're used to seeing Kelsey Ryan and Katie Leffler play together over the past year and a half. So that puck looked like it might have gone out, and then the Beacons were able to find it just short of their bench. But first-year head coach Danielle Blanchard has changed up the lines, as we've got an offside on Amherst and a face-off coming just outside the Beacons' end. Blanchard, in her first season, after playing at SUNY Plattsburgh and winning 2 championships as a player, came back as an assistant, won 5 more, and then spent the last 2 years at Yale before joining the Beacons officially on October 18th, less than 2 weeks before the start of the season. On the opposite side, Jeff Matthews is in his 10th year with the Mammoths, 9 seasons, 128, 63, and 29. He's led his team to at least 13 or more wins in every year. Kaylee Kozik pushing it forward for Hannah McDougall. Those two on the top line alongside Liz Cramp. The Beacons go 3 lines of forwards deep with an extra forward in Jessica Lapopolo. Amherst just with 9 forwards available for today's contest. In deep, and the shot goes just wide, poked wide there by Kennedy off the stick of Carly Daly, who was our Amherst player to watch. Junior out of Worcester Academy, had 10 goals and 8 assists as a freshman, the leading returning scorer. After Amherst graduated, their top 2 scorers and 4 of their top 5 from that team back in 2019-20 that finished 3rd in the NESCAC in the regular season and won the tournament title. Here's Kaylee Kozik, 1-on-3. Kozik tries the toe drag, and it's poked away by Leslie Schwartz, another Massachusetts native out of Wellesley. Schwartz will dump and chase as the rest of her teammates will get a line change. Leslie, with assists in 4 of her last 6, has 5 on the season. Liz Cramp bringing it into the zone, getting pushed off the puck there by Riley Glennon, who gets some help from Stephanie Nemikos. Puck still down, and it'll be Nomakos with it, trying to get it out of the zone. That goes through a number of players. They're going to wave off icing. Giving chase is Melina Maggio, the Illinois native. Glennon collects for Amherst behind the net, looking for an option. One-timer whiffed on by Angelina Wyatter, one of the 2 captains on this Amherst team. And it's back into the Amherst zone where McDougall fights with the opposing number 2, Glennon, for possession. The Beacons will go off for a change, and Amherst will have a chance to easily get out of their own zone. Well, looks like it. Then Franciskowitz with a little bit of forecheck pressure right at the blue line. Knocked down by, it's going to be on the Beacons' third line, I think. We've got Boyle, Burum, and Kozik. Second line back out there now. And the shot whistles wide off the stick of Elisa Shue. Second on the team with 3 goals, 2 assists, and 5 points this year. Shue out of Bayside, New Brunswick. One player for either side out of the continental United States. As we've got a whistle, puck popped up. And we'll get a face-off just outside the zone as Wilbert is stripped. Overskating the puck is Julia Weiss, and Wilbert gets it back. She'll push it over for Franciskowitz, who spent her first 2 seasons up at William Smith College in New York before joining the Beacons. Alicia Shue unable to keep control, but it's poked out to center ice, and the Beacons will throw it in. The first collegiate save there from Kayla Bush, her first collegiate action. And through 5 minutes, she's had to do very little work. Not that Victoria Kennedy has been challenged much either. Shue, 2v5 into the zone, pushed off the puck, still fighting for it. And eventually it'll be Addie Buddington, one of a number of Chicago Young Americans, former Chicago Young Americans in this game. Beacons have 2 in Maggio and Buddington, and Amherst has a couple as well, as Burum is the first Beacon into the zone. Bush wisely plays it. Kozik in a battle, able to win the puck below the goal line. Kaylee Kozik still with it, tried to center it, has it knocked away. Good defensive play by Leslie Schwartz, and now going the other way with speed is Daly, and she's slowed down by Jane Ann Drill, one of the 3 Beacons' fifth-year seniors. Amherst had all of their juniors and seniors graduate during the pandemic, but the Beacons brought back Kelsey Ryan, Katie Leffler, and Jane Ann Drill, 3 of the leaders on this team. To the near side, it's McDougall centering, and a good look there from Kelsey Ryan in a second, but Bush able to stand up to the task. We go the other way with speed, haven't had a whistle in a while. It's Wyatter into the slot, shoots, and Victoria Kennedy makes her first big save, and we finally have a whistle 5 minutes and 40 seconds in. Good end-to-end action to this point. Took a while for either team to get a grade A chance, but both teams with decent looks. Kelsey Ryan for the Beacons and Wyatter for Amherst. Wilbert with the face-off draw win for UMass Boston as they look to clear the zone. Shots over off of Franciskowitz into the zone, and Amherst will easily exit the zone and look to do a little bit more. That puck bounces up over the stick of Glennon. Shantz in a battle with a pair of mammoths behind the net, and the centering feed bounces over the stick of DiCarlo out of Waxhaw, North Carolina. Leffler giving chase as the rest of her teammates head off. McDougall joins her in the corner. Puck is still loose and then handled and brought out of the zone by Anna Baxter, freshman forward out of Joliet, Illinois. As that entire line for Amherst, the top line of Weiss, Baxter, and Shue, true line of 3 freshmen. From the circle, puck bounces loose, picked up by Stewart, who's content to dump it in. Baxter giving chase alongside Weiss. Coming away with it is Burum, the senior in her first season with the Beacons after she started her time at Quinnipiac University. Wasn't planning on playing college hockey, but eventually got the itch and transferred to UMass Boston for her junior year. Of course, the Beacons didn't have a season a year ago. Kozik elects to dump it in. Giving chase is Liz Cramp, the Michigan native, still battling with it behind the net there with Kenzie McDonald. And the Beacons have to touch up here. 12:41 to go in a scoreless first period. If you're a UMass Boston fan, you have to like what you've seen thus far, as the Beacons have been able to skate with this Amherst side, looking for their first win against the NESCAC since they defeated number 10 Colby College during the 2019-20 season. 0-3 this year against teams out of the New England Small College Athletic Conference. With speed, it's Kate Pohl who slips to the ice, no call coming. And the Beacons go the other way with Cramp, who will dump, and the Beacons will get 5 new skaters out there. Second line coming on. Knocked down there by Schantz, collected by Leffler. Leffler, an all-conference honoree in 2019-20 on the first team alongside Addie Buddington. For Amherst, they brought back their All-American goalie in Caitlin Walker, but they had one of their better players from that team who was due back. That was Jillian Mazaka, transferred to Colby College. Still just a junior, as the Beacons will have a chance to dig this out. Centering feed for Leffler, bounces around. Franciscowicz is in there as well, and it's finally poked all the way out of the zone where Jane Ann Drill has to wait for the Beacons to touch up, and not quite there as Franciscowicz a step slow, and the Beacons will take a face-off just outside the Amherst zone this time. Almost midway through this first period, no penalties, no goals. Rather even game. One good chance on either side. Into the zone. It's Riley Glennon, sophomore out of Burlington, Massachusetts, who played her junior hockey with the Boston Junior Eagles. Burum comes away with the strip. 3-on-2, the Beacons go. Burum chips it ahead, has Kozik. Kozik trying to return the favor. Her pass deflected behind the net. Kozik, Beacons' leading scorer with 9 points on the year. She and Liz Cramp share that title as Kaylee looking to create some space, being pressured here by Stephanie Nomakos, who's able to clear the zone. Chips that one over the hand of Schantz, and it'll be picked up behind the net by Glennon. Glennon with one skater coming off the bench. Shot from distance, knocked down off the skate of an Amherst player. McDougall battling, and enough to get the puck out of the zone. Amherst will keep possession. Puck chipped in there by Wyotter, and Amherst continues to make changes on the fly. It's now the Beacons' top line. Ryan pushing ahead just out of the reach of Cramp, and right back in. Kennedy will watch that one go back in wide. Corinne Tretchell, who again was not available Saturday, she's back, which is big for the Beacons as they lost Margot Butters today. Puck gets sent on its edge, and that will be just enough for no icing here. Beacons giving chase. And it's popped in. Maggio just out of the reach of Ryan, who couldn't hold on. Buddington pushed it around for McDougall. Tries to flip it through a couple players. Able to find Ryan. Ryan with one option to her left. That's Cramp. And eventually the pass goes all the way over for Avery Flynn. Kept in by Maggio, and it'll be dumped in. This could be an icing. Foot race here between Pohl and Buddington, and Buddington's going to win it. And it'll go down the length of the ice. The first icing of the game for either side. Beacons go with the second line. Amherst with their top line as the puck caroms out to center ice, and the Beacons will touch up after the dump. Good job to knock that down by Franciscowicz, but Amherst the first to the puck. Leffler and Tretchell unable to keep it in. Giving chase is Daly. Carly Daly, who scored a goal on Saturday, pushed it over for Kate Pohl. He's got 2 assists on the year, both against an NEHC side. They were able to defeat Johnson and Wales in their lone non-conference game against the team out of the New England Hockey Conference, 4-1. Played 3 non-conference games this year, has Amherst. Big wins over Johnson and Wales and Manhattanville, and a loss to nationally ranked Nazareth as the shot skitters wide off the stick of Daly. Beacons have just 1 non-conference win. They are 1-4. 3 losses against NESCAC teams, Bowdoin, Conn College, and Middlebury. Here's a chance from up top, and the shot gets deflected wide and just out of the reach there of Wyotter at the back post. Could have been a really nice goal in the double deflection, but Wyotter couldn't get a stick on it. The Beacons lost to the 3 NESCACs. They lost opening day to Suffolk University here at home as the attempted deflection by DiCarlo goes right into the skate of a Beacon. And they defeated Trine University on day 1 of the Codfish Bowl. Final non-conference game for UMass Boston. All NEHC tilts the rest of the way, where they're sitting in a pretty good spot right now. In third place in points behind only nationally ranked Elmira College and Norwich University. Jane Ann Drill able to get around a pair of players. Cramp for Kozik, right back for Cramp, and it's just out of her reach. Whiffing on the attempted clearance is Halubiak. On the near side, it's Nomi Koz, who will gain the blue line, push it across the Beacons blue line, and now dump it right back in. Most of the play today has been played kind of between the blue lines. Neither team has had a ton of chances. Cramp trying to leave it behind her, and it leaves Amherst with a chance for a mini 3-on-2 rush. Ryan gets back quickly, and Amherst in the midst of a change as Cramp tried to get a little fancy there. Liked the look, but could have led to good things for Amherst if they had a little bit more legs there after the long shift. Losing her edge there was Shantz, as leads to Amherst coming away with the puck. Backhand shot and a good stop from Kennedy as she denies Jana Park. Here's another chance for Park, and it whistles just wide of the near post. Kennedy might have gotten a piece. Tretchell just floats that one for McDougal, who had her head down. Right back for Tretchell, who, just like Katie Wilbert, is a member of the UMass Boston track and field team as well. Here's Wilbert trying to skate through a couple of players. One right back by Kenzie McDonald. McDonald into the zone. McDonald still with it, leaves it off in the circle. Deflected. Franciscowitz can't win that battle as Wyotter came in with speed. Angelina Wyotter, the other captain, she and Kenzie McDonald. Wyotter has terrific speed. She's with the puck here. Tight angled shot that had no chance. Goes all the way to the far boards. And it's picked up by Avery Flynn. Flynn has the puck poked loose. Here's Wilbert into the zone, and a good back check from Flynn to break it up as two players end up down in the crease. That's Wilbert and Kayla Bush, the freshman who's played well in her debut thus far. Into the zone was Glennon, who had her shot deflected wide by Jane Ann Drill, one of the leaders this year on the Beacons in block shots. Beacons unable to exit the zone. Glennon and Drill battling below the goal line. Now it's DeCarlo in there with Wilbert, who goes down once again. Any kind of penalty today would be exciting because these two teams combined average just over 12 minutes per game. Beacons, not all that strong on the power play, but a very good PK. Amherst, a strong power play, but their PK has suffered at below 80%. Rare look for the Beacons. That was Kozik from the circle. Stopped by Bush, who made two really good saves on Kelsey Ryan about 8 minutes into the period. By far the Beacons' best looks. Behind the net is Schwartz, trying to exit the zone. Good job by Melina Maggio stepping up. As Kozik's going to change on the fly. Beacons unable to keep it in here as Shantz tries to deny Amherst a chance. It's Shue. Elisa Shue one-on-one, and Kennedy, a great job poking that puck loose with the stick. Really good work against one of the better Mammoth scorers. Cramp centers it for McDougal. Shot deflected wide, but Cramp right back with the puck. Cramp tries to get it to the top of the zone. It's tipped wide. Collected by Drill, who can skate effectively with the puck. No look pass looking for Cramp on the far side. Deflected. There's a player in behind. Can they find her? They do. One-on-one. It's Pohl, and it's broken up coming back. Good defensive work there by the Beacons. Jane Ann Drill was able to slow down Pohl. And with 3:43, we've got our third stoppage of the period. I mean, this has been a very, very clean game. It's probably close to the fifth or sixth, but it's rare to see a period go by with this few stoppages. And I'm not complaining because sometimes you got to whistle every 15 seconds. Shantz loses an edge, trying to get the puck over to Franciscowitz. 5 players trying to dig the puck out, and eventually Franciscowitz looked like she had a chance. Wilbert loses her stick. Shot gets deflected wide back post, and a big save on Kate Pohl. She was all alone. Top of the zone, McDonald has her shot knocked down by Maggio, who leads the Beacons this season in shot blocks. She's got 17 to go along with the goal and 2 assists. She had a goal and an assist in the win over Castleton. With speed, it's Wyotter, poked away by Tretchell. Beacon still in a precarious position. They've been in their own zone for a while now. Wilbur tries to dig it out. Collected here by Schwartz. Beacon's pushing it towards the blue line, eventually kicked out there by Leffler, and Leffler and Wilbert run into each other, and Wilbert goes down. Glennon push it to the far side for Schwartz. Schwartz's pass knocked away. Wyotter picks it up and right back for Schwartz, who has 5 assists on the year. Her shot gets all the way through, and a kick save from Kennedy. Leffler can't control up top. It's DiCarlo whose shot ends up on the stick of Glennon, and she couldn't handle it as she was in one-on-one with the netminder. Back out up top, it's Avery Flynn. Her shot goes off a Beacon, picked up in the slot, and the backhand just wide out the stick of Baxter. Mammoths have really pinned the Beacons in for well over a minute, and now 2 players converge, and it's Leffler. 2-on-1 chance. Franciscowicz to her right, finds Franciscowicz. 1-on-1 with the goalie, just misses wide. She had the space, but couldn't put it on target, and that was easily the Beacons' best goal-scoring chance of the period. Great job by Leffler, recognizing that the defender came across and was going to slow her down. A no-look pass to find Franciscowicz, who just couldn't put it on target. Now Amherst will dump and chase as there's 90 seconds to go in the period. Kozik with a pair of trailers. Kozik takes it out wide, below the goal line. Kozik still with it, wraparound shot. Bush, the save, and it's Burum, her first collegiate goal. The Marshfield native who decided she didn't want to play hockey. Then she decided she did, and Rachel Burum, who had 36 shots on the year coming in and no goals, scores her first goal since her senior year of high school at Marshfield High School, where she was a 100-point scorer. Make sure you save that puck as Rachel Burum follows up on the rebound from Kaylee Kozik, and the Beacons, just like that, a 1-0 lead with 1:18 to go in the period, and Kelsey Ryan's going to throw that puck onto the bench. That goal is a long time coming for Rachel Burum. 3 assists to her name this season, gets on the scoreboard, and a big one to give the Beacons a lead as Kelsey Ryan plays that one with what looked like maybe a high stick. The referees don't blow the whistle as the Mammoths collect. Backhand shot there from Weiss is poked aside. Big momentum goal for the Beacons, getting one here late. Into the zone, it's Nomakos. McDonald just throwing it behind her, hoping a defenseman was there. Centering feed up top, another save from Kennedy. This time she denies Elizabeth Holubiak. Kelsey Ryan able to skate through 2 players, eventually has it poke-checked away. And just off the bench, good work there from Maggio. We're down to 30 seconds to go in the period. The lone goal coming from Rachel Burum, the senior's first collegiate goal. She is in her first season, but she's been out of high school for 4 years where she was a prolific goal and point scorer. Late chance here. It's Carly Daly skating through a couple players. Daly to the backhand shot. That goes off the skate of a Beacon with 6 seconds. Behind the net, Maggio can just skate it out with 2. Still battling. Daly with not enough time, and that will do it. A very quick, pretty exciting first period ends with the Beacons leading it 1-0. Rachel Burum, her first collegiate goal off the original shot from Kaylee Kozik. And the Beacons take a 1-0 lead into the first intermission. Well, the Beacons looking for a 2-game winning streak because they just defeated Castleton University on Saturday. That one a 3-2 come-from-behind victory. We've got highlights of that one right now for you here on the Beacons Broadcast Network. Make sure to stick with us for our entire intermission show. We'll have stats, a look around the rest of the conference and the rest of Beaconville, and some more highlights of Beacons teams. UMass Boston leads it 1-0 after one thanks to a goal scored with just a minute 18 seconds left in the period. It was Rachel Burum, her first collegiate goal for the senior out of Marshfield in her first season with the Beacons, first season of college hockey, but had waited, decided she wanted to come back. That's got to be a tremendous moment for her, following up the rebound from Kaylee Kozik, who picks up her 6th assist of the year and her 10th total points. She's now first on the team in points, just 1 assist behind Liz Cramp for the team lead in assists. Let's take a look at the statistics from that first period. Fairly even. Amherst does have the lead in shots, 11-7. But again, Amherst in their 3 victories this year had allowed a total of 31 shots per game. Beacons on pace for 21. So much better kind of pace if you're looking at those previous games and saying, okay, what do the Beacons kind of need to do to be competitive in this one. Kayla Bush, the true freshman, playing in her first collegiate game, 6 saves. Not much she could have done on that lone goal from Burum. Victoria Kennedy with 11 saves. This is her 4th game against the NESCAC team. Still looking for that first victory this year. Did play really well against Bowdoin and Conn College. The Beacons really struggled against Middlebury as a team. But in those earlier games, a season-high 46 saves on 49 shots against Conn College. Against Bowdoin, she had over 30 saves. So good start here, 11 saves on 11 shots. Face-offs, 5-4 in favor of Amherst. We had 8 stoppages in 20 minutes of hockey. I don't know about you folks, but it was incredibly entertaining to watch. Both teams going back and forth. Not a lot of choppiness. Able to get a little bit of momentum either way. Both teams had a couple swings where they were able to get some things going. Right now, let's take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard. One other game going on in the NEHC today and right now. And that game is Worcester State and Southern Maine. Southern Maine leads it 2-1 late in the first period. We do have one other game late. It's Western New England at Johnson and Wales. Plymouth State was supposed to play Trinity in another NEHC NESCAC matchup, but that game was postponed. Right now, let's take a look at some highlights from another UMass Boston team that's on a bit of a win streak. It was the men's hockey team 11-0 over Castleton here at home on Saturday as they won their 4th consecutive game coming out of break and scored their most goals since the 2015 ECAC East quarterfinals. They're not even in the ECAC East anymore, but that's how long it had been since they had put up 11 goals in a single contest. those are the highlights from UMass Boston's 11-0 victory over Castleton on Saturday. The Beacons sweeping their two conference foes on the men's hockey side 16-0 this past weekend. Sam Best and Corey Clifton were earned New England Hockey Conference awards. Best named the goalie of the week after his second and third straight shutouts, and Corey Clifton the NEHC Rookie of the Week. Let's look at the around Beaconville right now, and just as you're seeing all over every level of college sports in every region, a lot of postponements. Just today, the women's basketball and men's basketball games postponed tomorrow at in-state rivals UMass Dartmouth. As of now, the men's hockey team is still scheduled to play New England College on Friday and nationally ranked Norwich University on Saturday. The indoor track and field team was supposed to be at Brandeis for the Reggie Paiu Memorial Invitational. That has been postponed. Not sure if the track and field team will be traveling elsewhere, but a lot of postponements here at UMass Boston. A lot of postponements at Amherst. It's just going all over the place. It's just trying to keep these student athletes as safe as possible. Let's take a look ahead right now for UMass Boston women's hockey. The team is scheduled to go to New England College on Friday for conference play at 6 p.m. Already earned a big conference win here at home against the Pilgrims first semester. Then they'll travel to number 9 Norwich on Saturday. Next weekend, they finally return home for a weekend conference set as they will take on a Salem State team they defeated 2-1 and a Southern Maine team they fell to 1-0. Both of those games on the road first semester. That's next Friday and Saturday. 2:36 to go before the start of period number 2. We're going to take an audio break, and then we'll be back. UMass Boston leads 1-0 on the Rachel Buram goal late in period number 1. It's the period of the long change here at the Edward T. Barry Ice Rink. UMass Boston leading it 1-0 on the Rachel Buram goals. Assists to Kaylee Kozik and Addie Buddington. Buddington the change during the first intermission. She picks up assist number 5 of the year. Has already matched her freshman total when she was named to the NEHCL rookie team in the first team all-conference. She's got a goal and 5 assists. My name is Seth Dorensky, bringing you the action here on the Beacons Broadcast Network. Amherst outshot the Beacons 11-7 in the period, but trail it 1-0 on the first collegiate goal from Rachel Buram. Beacons go with the top line of Cramp, Ryan, and McDougall. And we are underway in period number 2 as Amherst going with line 2. It's Pole Park and Daly, and an early whistle and a save from Victoria Kennedy. Kennedy 11 stops in the first period. Only a few were challenging. We'll see the face-off draw. Park wins it back. Up top, it's Schwartz being pressured by Liz Cramp. Kate Pohl poking at it behind the net, getting help there from Park, and the puck is apparently stuck in the back of the netting, and they'll pick it up and get another face-off here in the Beacon zone. Of course, after talking about just how quickly that first period moved with 8 total whistles, we've already got 2 whistles here in the opening 22 seconds of period number 2. Good thing for both of these teams is they've yet to commit a penalty. Remember, UMass Boston skating with 15 skaters, 10 forwards and 5D. Amherst with 15 skaters, 9 forwards and 60. Both teams short on players to begin with, smaller rosters, I should say. So there's a shot from distance, poked in. I believe it was Glennon who had the poke right in front of Kennedy's, makes the save, but it's been all Amherst here in the opening minute. The Beacons finally clear the zone. Leffler chasing it along with Franciscowicz, and they are finally going to blow the whistle just shy of the goal line. It was a good work by Elizabeth Holubiak to hold off Franciscowicz, who was on her proverbial horse. So both teams don't have a lot of depth today. Just played on Saturday, so 2 days off. Amherst a little bit earlier on in their season, but they've showed good speed thus far. Holubiak tries to send it down low. Collected their centering feed, broken up by Leffler as it was Anna Baxter, the opposing number 16, trying to pick it up there. Holubiak able to keep it in the zone. Jane Ann Drill, the Wisconsin native, holding off one player. Puts it off her own teammate. Drill still with it, working against Shue. Franciscowicz unable to break it out of the zone, and now it's Anna Baxter. This period could be a little bit dangerous for the Beacons if they're unable to clear the zone effectively, which we saw at points, especially late in that first period. Amherst had the Beacons pinned in their own zone for a while before they were able to break out and score that goal, as there's no icing here on a play that I assumed was going to have an icing. Referees wave it off. Beacons get the change. Kate Pohl with it, pulls out, puts it down low there for McDonald. Centering feed, Kennedy trying to hold on and gets the whistle as an Amherst player ends up behind her in the net. That's Kate Pohl. Another face-off in the Beacons defensive zone as Amherst has come out the aggressor here in period number 2 after leading in shots 11-7, period number 1. Neither team generated that many chances until the last 5 to 7 minutes of the first period. Kaylee Kozik trying to push the puck out of the zone, battling against 3 different players. Burum goes over to help her. It's collected by Daly, who will skate it out, pushes it up top. Shot from distance. Kennedy makes the glove save through a ton of traffic. 2 players for Amherst, 2 for the Beacons, and Kennedy tracked it the whole way off the stick of Avery Flynn. Flynn looking for her first goal this season after scoring a goal in 23 games as a freshman. The Berlin, Connecticut native, who was a Connecticut polar bear in junior hockey. It's Flynn with it. Her shot gets knocked down. 4 players in front of the net, 2 for each side. It's Jane Ann Drill skating across the center ice line, has it poked away and back into the neutral zone, where Ryan trips up Carly Daly. No call coming. Haven't even talked about the referees. If you're wondering, referee group for today, Pavel Koskin and Jason Galafaro are refs. Ryan Turner and Josh Wyand are the linesmen. Four players in the corner. Amherst able to dig it out. Daly out top, looking for Holubiak, who will cycle it all the way around. McDougal, the first player to it. Poked around. Corinne Tretchell, one of a number of Beacons from the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. Katie Wilbert and Kaylee Kozik, also from Western Pennsylvania. Kozik calls Wexford, Pennsylvania home. Corralled by Wyatter, who has it broken up by Leffler, but able to keep it in the zone. Giving chase here. Good work from Shantz, and Franciscowicz almost corralled it and took it around the defenseman, unable to do so. Wilbert cross ice for Leffler, who's going to be met by Nomakos. Leffler shot from distance. That one's pushed aside by Bush, who remains in there in her first collegiate start. Behind the net, Nomakos, the senior out of Belmont, Massachusetts, not too far from Boston, will push it across. Foot race here, and they're going to wave off icing as Wyatter was giving chase against Maggio. Glennon holds off Shantz, and the attempted shot is deflected behind the net. Shantz pushing it forward, looking for Leffler, who left it behind there, and Kelsey Stewart picked it up, the Halifax Mass native, South Shore. Good stick work to keep that in the zone by Anna Baxter. Shot goes wide as Maggio was able to hold off Julia Weiss. Top line out there for Amherst. Beacons going with the second line. Leffler and Wilbert keep it away from their crease. Shot from distance, and Kennedy saw it the whole way off the stick of Kenzie McDonald, the Sewickley, Pennsylvania native. Attended Quaker Valley High School, has one career goal in 56 games in her time as a Mammoth. 14:50 to go in the second period that has been played mostly in the Beacons' end. Haven't given up too many big chances, but Victoria Kennedy has certainly been a lot more busy here in the second period than she was in the first when she made 11 saves. Buren versus Park. Buren with the lone goal in this one. 1:18 left in the first period off the rebound from Kaylee Kozik. Behind the net, Drill the first one to it. Flips it up looking for Kozik. Kept in the zone by Flynn. Drill still battling for it. Two Mammoths all over her. And Kozik eventually collects the puck. Good back check coming from Park. This will be an icing. And they blow the whistle. Schwartz wins the foot race with Sydney Boyle, the freshman out of Chisago City, Minnesota, who played hockey and lacrosse at Chicago Lakes High School, making her 13th appearance, still looking for point number one. Buren versus Wyatter this time. Wyatter the win. Shot from distance, and Drill just knocks it right back where it came from. This Amherst D-Corps hasn't scored a lot this season. They've got a couple good playmakers. First and foremost, Leslie Schwartz, who has 15 assists in her first season and a half, but still looking for that first goal. For the most part, the goals have come from the forwards, and just 9 of them available today. Remember, Amherst has not scored much in their losses as that shot bounces in and Kennedy forced to make the save. In their wins this season, they've scored 15 goals in 3 games. In their losses, been outscored 11-3. Now they've lost twice to the number 1 team in the country, Middlebury, and another loss to number 7 Nazareth as the Beacons unable to connect on the pass. It was Wilbert looking to leave it for McDougall. But something to watch in this contest is it's been a struggle for Amherst to score goals against better competition. Dumping it in is Ryan. Nomakos has a while as the Beacons are making the change. Long stretch pass, pushed right back into the zone. Smart decision there by Maggio. This one will be dumped in. This should be an icing, and we'll get our first Beacons offensive zone draw on the icing by the Mammoths. 13-16 to go in period number 2. Beacons don't have a shot. Beacons have one shot thus far against Kayla Bush, the California native making her collegiate debut in net. Midweek non-conference game. Why not get her some minutes? So they have 2 senior goalies in front of her that likely will be graduating. They could take extra seasons if they wanted, but who knows what Caitlin Walker and Anna Kriesel have in store in their careers as the shot catches the face mask of Kennedy And a Baxter there with a good look. Baxter right back to it. Centers it, and the puck is pushed just wide. That was Elisa Shue who was tangled up with the Beacon. And then another look. It's Baxter denied at the back post. So 2 shots that are saved by Kennedy, and a third good look for Elisa Shue. The Beacons have let Amherst create a little bit more here in the second period. It's Shue with it. One option to her left. Shue's shot gets deflected away by Kennedy. Bounces over to Park on the far side, just off the bench. Jana Park still with it. Jana Park to the top of the slot. Park sends a shot. Stays low. Kennedy the save. And Park collects her own rebound. Out top, it's McDonald, whose shot gets knocked down. Beacons a little bit careless in their clearance attempt. Amherst in the midst of a change. It's pushed out. This will be an icing if it gets across the goal line. And it will be. And that's an instance where the Beacons had Amherst in the midst of a change, didn't communicate. If Franciscowicz had just followed that puck, it would have been no icing, but Franciscowicz put her head down. I'm not saying it was necessarily Emily's fault, but the Beacons don't make the play they needed to, and now these tired 5 players will have to stay out there a bit longer. Behind the net, it's Carly Daly, Alston, Mass native, our player to watch for Amherst. That one is just past the stick of Leslie Schwartz, allowing the Beacons to make a change, and they will get a change out there. Burham, though, will stay on. So one of the Beacons forwards unable to get off. Actually 2, as Kozik stays on as well. Shot misses wide behind the net. Liz Cramp first forward on. Top line left winger. Up top, it's Leslie Schwartz looking for a shooting lane. Puts it right into Cramp. Gets her own rebound. Schwartz a second shot that's tipped up high, well over Kennedy. Pole with it below the goal line. Poked loose by Burham, but right onto the stick of an Amherst player. Shot knocked down by Shantz, who does lead the Beacons in block shots this year. Came in just under 20 in 12 games. Maggio pokes the puck loose. Can the Beacons get it out of the zone? They do so. Getting tripped up was Cramp. And the referees, just as they've done all game long, do not blow the whistle. Good speed, and the shot goes wide by Wyatter, and Victoria Kennedy taking no chances. She's going to cover up, and the Beacons will get fresh legs out there. Both defensemen will change. Buddington and Drill replace Maggio and Shantz. Remember, just the 5 defensemen today for the Beacons, so we'll see how that D-core fares as this game goes along. Shot right off the faceoff goes wide off of the stick of Shue. Cramp, 2v3 with McDougal to her right. Cramp tries to leave it for Ryan just into the zone. Broken up. And now a mini 2-on-1 chance the other way. Glennon has Shue to her right. Shoots and scores. Glennon top shelf. And we're tied at 1, just shy of the midway point of the second period. Glennon took it all the way herself. And the sophomore scores her 3rd goal and her 2nd goal in as many games. She had the game winner on Saturday against Connecticut College. And just like that, we're tied at 1-1 with 30 minutes and 9 seconds of hockey to be played at least. Off the Amherst goal, the Beacons win the face-off, but it'll go right back the other way with Baxter. Poked loose by Wilbert. Leffler giving chase, loses the foot race to Stewart. Stewart will dump it in. This period has been all Mammoths. Beacons have struggled to win some face-offs. They tight, and a big save from Kennedy, denying Anna Baxter as she tried to make it 2-1 just like that. Wilbert, Saturday's hero for the Beacons, battling in there with Franciscowicz to exit the zone. 2 Mammoths there as well. That's DeCarlo and McDonald. The Beacons finally exit the zone. Franciscowicz pushed off the puck by Pohl. Wilbert keeps it alive. Leffler behind the net with Wilbert giving chase. Wilbert corrals it, centers it, comes all the way out to the blue line where it's Buddington who sends a shot directly off an Amherst player. Stewart Cycles it for McDonald. McDonald pushes it up, and a good job stepping forward by Buddington. This is the most consecutive zone time the Beacons have had in a while, putting a little bit of pressure on Amherst. Taking a big spill is a Mammoth. Kozik with it, who has an assist thus far. Kozik lays it for Drill, who couldn't get the shot off as it was just off the end of her stick. J-Nan does have a big shot. No goals this season, but has scored quite a few during her career. Well, 3. Not too shabby for its senior defenseman. Shot from Maggio gets knocked down right at the point of impact by Pohl, and Kennedy will cover up. So an offensive zone draw for the Mammoths. Nearly 2 minutes gone by since that goal from Amherst. And the Beacons have answered in a pretty strong way, able to create a little bit of pressure. Something that they struggled to do through the first 5 minutes of this period. Kelsey Ryan, a big defensive zone draw. Shipping it around, looking for Shantz. Liz Cramp battling just outside her own blue line. Ryan comes over to help. Shantz is there as well. Good step by Shantz to deny Carly Daly any space. It's an attempted dump that Ryan will knock down right at the blue line. The Beacons trying to really make it difficult for Amherst to gain the zone. Popped up high off the boards. Giving chase is Flynn. Cramp is there as well. Flynn will rip that one around the boards. Drill just off the bench. First one to it. Picked up by McDougal. McDougal's shot just wide of the near post. Puck still loose and picked up by Daly, who's got great speed. Daly around Buddington. Drill coming over, and a good back check by Jane-Ann Drill, and both players end up hard into the boards. Shot from distance, knocked down off the stick of Holubiak. Daly right back up. Daly looking for a backhand chance, and well wide of the net. Jane-Ann Drill, an important back check there to slow down Carly Daly, who's one of the top scorers on Amherst. Cramp gains the red line and then pushed down. She was stripped of the puck. Here's Wyatter. Wyatter drop pass, shot. Kennedy save. Kennedy a second save, and a third chance goes off the post. 3 good looks for Shu, and finally a goal. Believe it's going to be Stephanie Nomakos as the Beacons unable to clear the puck there. 2 big saves from Kennedy, and now Victoria Kennedy appears to be in some pain as the Beacons players were indicating that they wanted the trainer to come out and check on Victoria Kennedy. Their sophomore goalie out of Winthrop, Massachusetts, who's going to try to skate this one off. We wish we had a highlight for you. There was so much stuff going on there. Elisa Shu had 3 chances, twice stopped by Kennedy, a third that went right off the post with Kennedy down, and then eventually put in by the Mammoths as they lead it 2-1. A pair of goals here in the second period. We've got a whistle and a penalty coming against the Mammoths. It's going to be Stephanie Nomikos with the goal, so it's her second goal of the season and 4th collegiate goal for the senior out of Belmont. And we've got our first penalty of the game, a chance for the Beacons to turn the tide. It's going to be Anna Baxter who heads to the box for interference. And we'll see what the Beacons power play that has struggled this season under 10% can do. They try to get right back in this game. If nothing else, get some momentum back after giving up back-to-back goals here in the second. Kozik out there with Cramp, Ryan, Buddington, and Leffler. Odd carom that ends up with Buddington in control of the puck. Buddington's slap shot goes wide behind the net. Cramp battling in there with Avery Flynn, who uses her length to win the puck, but unable to clear. Centering feed looking for Leffler, still bouncing around. And it'll be Liz Cramp battling along the boards, and Leffler able to win it. Out wide, it's Kozik. Kozik for Leffler. Centering feed for Cramp. It ends up off the pads of Bush. Off of Cramp. Now it's Ryan. 1:10 to go on the man advantage. Buddington shot through traffic, skitters wide. And again, Amherst doesn't get much behind the clearance attempt. Flynn is extremely long, but isn't getting enough power behind these attempted clearances. Ryan for Kozik, right back out top. Buddington shot knocked down. Ryan can't control, and it will be Daly who gets the clearance. Beacons are going to send out a couple new skaters. Ryan stays on looking for Burum. Burum gains the zone. Wilbert ends up colliding there with Park. Behind the net, it's Nomikos, the goal scorer, battling with it. Wilbert out there with McDougal. Burum, as Wilbert's shot is saved by Bush. McDougal, Drill, Tretchell, and Burum. Wilbert right back for Tretchell with 12 left on the man advantage. First power play opportunity for either side. Pass for McDougal, intercepted, kept alive by Drill. She'll chip it down low. McDougal with it as we're back to 5-on-5 as Burum gets knocked down in front of the net. Beacons still pinning Amherst in the zone. This group has been out there for about a minute. Behind the net, Wilbert tries to center it. There were no Beacons there. Puck is still loose. Picked up by Glennon, who scored the first of the Mammoths' 2 goals in this period. That one came just shy of the 10-minute mark. They added a second, just about 7 minutes to go in period number 2. Burum collides with Baxter, who was sent to the sin bin for interference. Kozik wins the battle down low. Kozik centering feed bounces off of Bush and just wide. Puck was fluttering for a bit, and then it's cleared out of the zone, up over the boards by Nomikos, and we'll see a face-off staying in the zone. Right now, the referee is talking to Amherst head coach, and Amherst is going to use their timeout. Jeff Matthews recognizes, hey, this group's been out there for a while, came on for the second half of that penalty kill, and we'll see just what happens here as they're going to get fresh skaters. The Beacons will have an offensive zone draw, but they won't get a tired group of Mammoths at the same time. UMass Boston led it 1-0 after 1. It was Rachel Burum from Kaylee Kozik and Addie Buddington at 18:42 of the first period. The Mammoths tied the game 1-1 on a Riley Glennon goal with 10:09 remaining in this first period. And then it was Stephanie Nomikos, listed as an unassisted goal. I think Elisa Shu's got to get an assist in there in some way or fashion, as she had a couple looks right before that goal was scored. That came with, I think, 6:56 to go in the period. So it's 2-1 Amherst. The Beacons have not defeated the Mammoths since 2004. They've only played, this is their 4th matchup since then, but Beacons trying to snap a 3-game losing streak against NESCAC teams this season. Gone just 1-7 against teams out of the New England Small College Athletic Conference past 2 seasons. Out of the Amherst timeout, the Beacons will go with their top line, Kozik, Cramp, and Ryan. So Ryan wins that one back for Maggio. Shots the other defenseman. Good job getting it out of the zone by Elisa Shu, one of the top line players for Amherst. Shots for Maggio. And right back as the Beacons look to exit the zone, something they've struggled to do in this period. Saw them struggle a bit late in the first, but it's been a bigger issue in the period of the long change where Mammoths have been able to get reinforcements quickly and really keep the Beacons pinned in. Ryan can't find the puck, stuck in her skates. Bringing it the other way is Baxter, and collecting it is Shue. Elisa Shrew, the New Brunswick native, gets a shot in on Kennedy, makes the save. It looks like Victoria, after staying down after that Amherst goal, appears to be okay. There's a lot of traffic in front. She made 2 big saves, was slow to get up. Shot went off the post, and then there was some ensuing traffic. Here's Wilbert, has Leffler coming to the net. Wilbert keeps it herself, and a shot at the near post by Bush. Drill keeps it in, and that one will skitter just outside of the zone on the far side. Buddington, good tape-to-tape pass for Drill. Off the boards, ahead for Wilbert, who will cycle it around. Beacons today, no Gustafson, no Riefler, And no Butters. Down 3 talented skaters. Centering feed bounces all the way out. Leffler's initial shot gets knocked right back at her, and the shot from Tretchell goes wide off the stick of her own player. For Amherst, they've have a couple players out in their own right. No Grozick, Suravali, and Rass for the second consecutive game. Cycled around the boards. Kozik just off the bench, has her pocket picked by Schwartz. Beacons keep it alive. This is the line that scored earlier on today. Up top, it's Shantz. Her shot deflected. It looked like off the knee of Burem there. Otherwise, it might have had a chance to trickle through. There was a ton of traffic. Burem had it for a second, poked loose, and picked up by the Beacons in the neutral zone. Burem now in on the far side. Rachel Burem, backhand feed, looking for McDougal. Knocked loose behind the net. It's finally collected by the Mammoths. Schwartz with it. Outlet pass tipped by Pohl all the way on Kennedy, and she'll hold on with a minute 27 to go in period number 2. This period has not moved nearly as quickly as the first did. And it's been a little bit more purple tinted than I think Danielle Blanchard and assistant coach Kayla Friesen would like. Park wins the face-off there against Wilbert. Shot from the point deflected by Cramp, who's going to give chase here on Flynn. Avery Flynn and Stephanie Nomakos, both at 5'11 or taller, are very tall, very long defensemen. Have given the Beacons some trouble. Here's Park with it going the other way with a minute 3 to go in the period. Rolls one in on Kennedy, who's just going to push it aside. Puck bounces around, drill the first one to it. Drill up off the boards, looking for Cramp, bounces all the way around. Ryan breaks up the cross-ice pass to the near side where Drill will collect just shy of the red line. Drill into the zone. Drill fakes the shot, sends a low one in that Bush makes the save on with 40 seconds to go in the period. Beacons in the midst of a change. Burem has that one go up. It looked like it caught a Beacon on the bench, and I think that was Wilbert, who was just off the ice, who connected with that one off of her helmet. We've got a whistle. There was a big hit after the whistle, and I'm wondering if they're potentially going to call anything as the whistle had blown and then a Beacon knocked down an Amherst player. The Mammoths are in the Beacon zone expecting an offensive zone face-off. Danielle Blanchard's pleading her case. And let's see if the Beacons are going to be forced to go on the penalty kill late here in the second period with just 33.7 seconds left. Buddington and Drill, who was just out on the ice. It's going to be Sydney Boyle to the bench for what I have to imagine is hitting out to the whistle or roughing. Cramp and Ryan are the two forwards, so 33.7 seconds to go. The Beacons are going to have to go on the kill for the first time today. A chance for Amherst to potentially extend their lead. Shot from distance. Kennedy somehow is able to hold on with Wyotter just in front of her. Couldn't quite hear the call there. It sounds like it's a bench minor, so maybe too many players on the ice as Wyotter has it with 18 to go in the period. Amherst, if they don't score, will have a minute 27 to open the third period as the shot's deflected wide off the stick of Wyotter. Far side, it's Glennon with 5 seconds. Her shot gets knocked down, still loose, and the Beacons will kill off the opening 33.7 seconds of that man advantage, but it's going to be an uphill battle in the third period. They trail 2-1. They're going to be on the penalty kill for a minute and 27 seconds after Amherst scored 2 goals in the period, just about 4 minutes separating the goals. Riley Glennon tied the game at 1, and then it was Stephanie Nomakos who gave Amherst the lead at 2-1 as Nomakos looking for her second collegiate game-winning goal for the senior defenseman out of Belmont, Massachusetts. Well, we're through 40 minutes. Let's take a look at some more highlights from other Beacons teams. The women's basketball team was back in action here at home for the first time in 2022 on Saturday. They earned a big conference win, 76-62 over Plymouth State University, and we've got the highlights for you right now. Amherst after two periods of play. The Beacons took a 1-0 lead late in the first at 18:42. It was Rachel Burham, her first collegiate goal from Kaylee Kozik and Addie Buddington. At 9:51, Riley Glennon on a 2-on-1 break kept it herself and scored her third collegiate goal to tie the game. And then at 13:01, it was Stephanie Nomikos who scored her second goal of the season, and Elisa Shu did come up with the assist. So that is the scoring summary. Taking a look at the statistics through two periods of play. Not surprisingly, Amherst does have the edge in most stats. Shots 32-12 thanks to a 21-5 advantage in that second period, and that's kind of what they've done in games that they've been able to win this year. They've only allowed the 31 shots on goal in those 3 victories versus an average of 30.2 shots against in their 5 losses. So the Beacons only with 12. You'd love to see that number creep up into the double digits for a period in the third if they're going to make a comeback. Kayla Bush has made 11 saves on 12 shots as she looks for her first collegiate win and her first collegiate start. Victoria Kennedy with 30 saves exactly, 19 in that second period. She stopped 30 of 32 shots. Faceoffs 21-9 in that second period. So Amherst was able to win 15 of the 20 faceoffs in the second period. Jana Park is 8 of 10. For the Beacons, Katie Wilbert is 6 of 11, the only Beacon who has won more than 50% of her faceoffs. Both teams are 0 for 1 on the power play thus far, although the Beacons committed a penalty with just 33.7 seconds left in the second period. It was for too many players on the ice, so Amherst and their power play that operates at over 25% on the season does have a chance, another minute and 27 to start the third period. Let's take a quick look around the rest of the New England Hockey Conference. One other game going on right now and a second game going on this evening, as it's Southern Maine 3, Worcester State 2 at the end of 2 up in Gorham, Maine. Western New England at Johnson and Wales later on tonight. And the other NEHC NESCAC matchup of the day, Plymouth State at Trinity College, was postponed. Well, we've got 8 minutes to go in the second intermission. Let's take a look at one final set of highlights. It's the men's basketball highlights from their last home victory. That was December the 7th against Western Connecticut State. The men's basketball team still is yet to play in a game in 2022 thanks to some COVID postponements for some other teams. So we've got to look back to December the 7th for their last set of highlights. This was a big conference win over Western Connecticut State University. 20 minutes left on the clock in non-conference play for UMass Boston as they look to pick up their first win of the season against a team out of the New England Small College Athletic Conference. 0-3 thus far. Tight losses to Bowdoin College and Connecticut College. And a tough loss up at number 1 Middlebury College. For Amherst, looking for their second straight victory. Both of these teams looking for a second straight win as the Mammoths look to really get their season going after a difficult start that included 4 consecutive conference losses. Backdoor pass and a big save from Victoria Kennedy as the Beacons start this third period on the penalty kill for 1 minute and 27 seconds. Shot from distance goes right into the jersey of Kelsey Ryan on the stick of Avery Flynn. Beacons need to kill off the too many players penalty and then get some stuff going on offense as they manage just 5 shots in that second period and 12 thus far. Good pass to the center slot, and it's a big save in tight on Wyatter. Victoria Kennedy's already been forced to make 2 point-blank saves, 32 saves on 34 shots thus far for the sophomore, who's been tremendous for UMass Boston all season long. Liz Cramp gets the clearance, and the Beacons will get it changed down to 24 seconds to go on the man advantage as the Beacons look to match Amherst's successful kill from late in the second. Collecting it here is Daly. Shot from the slot, knocked down, puck still loose. Park gets upended. Looked like she might have taken some contact there to the helmet. She was slow to get up, and Kennedy will hold on as Park's going to readjust. Six seconds to go on the man advantage. Park's going to stay on and take the face-off. She'll take on Burham, who wins the face-off draw. Puck comes all the way out to the blue line where it's kept in, and we're back to 5-on-5. 18:33 left for UMass Boston to come away with a game-tying goal and then potentially a game winner. They're playing their first home game in 44 days. This is their 8th home game of the season, but played all of those home games in late October or November. Have not been home since November the 28th. Sean Sformaggio ahead for Kozik, who's in there tight with Wilbert. Kozik, Wilbert, and Franciscowicz, the 3 forwards out there right now. And now Kozik will head off, replaced by Katie Leffler, who's the traditional third forward on this Beacon second line. Leffler will dump it in and give chase. First player to it is McDonald. McDonald below the goal line, looking for Baxter, who's able to push off a Beacon and then dumps it right into her own bench. So the faceoff should stay in the zone, and it will. 17:27 to go in period number 3. UMass Boston, a 3-2 come-from-behind win on Saturday up at Castleton. Looking to do the same thing. Go up 1-0, give up 2 goals. That time it was 1 in the first, 1 in the second, and score at least 2 here in the third during the victory. Bouncing puck, Wilbert in tight, the hero from Saturday, unable to get a shot up. Shot from Drill, gets all the way in on Bush, who makes the save. Leffler out to the point for Tretchell, a floating shot, and held on to by Bush. And Amherst didn't like something there as they were screaming at the referees. 17:06 left now. And the Beacons will bring on the top line. It's Wyatter versus Ryan. Ryan wins it to the near side for McDougall. Bouncing puck, able to get the clearance. It tipped off the stick of Riley Glennon. Buddington the first one to it. Glennon keeps it in the zone. 2 Beacons, 2 Mammoths, and a takedown there by Ryan. I think it was inadvertent, but she was able to knock Glennon to the ice. And we've got a hand pass on the Mammoths. Face-off comes out of the zone now. Wyatter versus Ryan. Bounces over to the far side. Cramp nearly got a piece of it. And that clearance almost went into the Beacons bench by Kelsey Stewart. Just out of the reach of Maggio, who has to retreat to pick it up. They're going to wave off icing here as the 3 forwards give chase, and the Beacons will switch out the 2 Ds. UMass Boston has just 5 defensemen available today, just as they did on Saturday against Castleton. Shantz clears it as far as the red line, broken up. Tretchell unable to handle it. Glennon already with 1 goal, and her backhand feed, a huge save by Kennedy, the full sprawl, and what a ginormous stop to deny Elisa Shue of what looked like a sure goal. Great unselfish play by Glennon, and then that stretch just scares me even thinking about trying to get into that position, as Kennedy, probably her biggest stop of the game to keep this at 2-1. Victoria Kennedy continues to come up huge. Beacons had a huge hole in their program after graduating 2019-20 New England Hockey Conference Goalie of the Year, Katie Flagg. But Kennedy has done a great job in replacing Flagg and has been one of the best goalies in the entire New England Hockey Conference this season. Coming back into her own zone to pick up the puck is Nomakos. Her pass goes through a couple of players. Kennedy will push it away as Carly Daly was in tight. Daly with the shot, kick save from Kennedy. Collected by Kozik. 15-20 to go in the third period. The Beacons still looking for that first good chance here in the third period. We've seen Amherst get off quite a few looks. So they have grown into this game. Loose puck in the neutral zone, collected by Park. And finally sent down low by Pohl. Drill, one of those 5 Beacons defensemen, looking for the stretch pass. Finds Wilbert just out of the reach of Leffler. Leffler continues to give chase and wins the battle with Julia Weiss. Leffler still with it as the Beacons get 2 new defensemen out there. Corinne Tretchell, one of those new defensemen, tries to keep the puck alive. Finally, it's Flynn with it, the Loomis Chaffee High School native. Tretchell steps forward, sends it to the slot. Wilbert almost got there in time. Baxter on the far side, content to dump it down low for Holubiak. And then Avery. This is better from UMass Boston. A little bit more zone time. Haven't been able to get off a good look, but have at least pressured Amherst. There's a shot from Tretchell that forces the kick save from Bush. Wilbert, the turnaround shot, doesn't get in on target. Good job stepping forward by Holubiak. Bouncing puck makes it out to the neutral zone where the Beacons will leave it for the moment. And Franciscowicz, is she offside? Well, it comes out either way. Maggio ahead for Ryan, one of a couple of Beacons who came in with a team-high 4 goals. Ryan tries to center it. It's bounced right back at her. Up top, Maggio couldn't quite reach it, and it'll come down the length of the ice where Kennedy will settle it for Buddington. Buddington's pass into the neutral zone, collected by McDougall, pushed ahead for Cramp. The good back check by Glennon. Cramp ends up running through the back there of a Mammoth, and now it's Amherst with speed the other way. Glennon, who had that great pass for Shue earlier in the period that forced a great save. Puck doesn't get all the way through as Shue got the last touch, and now it's McDougall. McDougall 1v2. Wisely will just dump it as the Beacons will get a couple new skaters out there. Cramp stays on the forecheck. Here comes Burham and the Beacons' third line of Boyle, Burham, and Kozik. Tretchell gets through a couple players. Four-man is chasing her. Tretchell's shot, and Bush struggled with that save. Got it off the shoulder, but clearly wasn't all that confident as it went in behind her off the boards. Good look from Corinne Tretchell. Missed the game on Saturday. There's a blocker save off of Burham. Much better from UMass Boston these last couple minutes. Still 12:30 to go in regulation, and the Beacons are creating more chances than we've seen since late in the first period. Park able to get through a couple players. It's broken up. That pass doesn't connect with Kozik, and now it's Maggio. Maggio for Boyle on the far side. And she's stripped of the puck. Picked up once again by Jana Park. Park trying to go 1v4. That's not going to work out all that well for the Glenview, Illinois native. Now it's Wilbert going 1v4, and she loses an edge as she loses the puck. A lot of time spent in the neutral zone, or at least just inside the two zones and right back out. And now it bounces out for Daly. Shane Andrilla is back, and what a great stop by Leffler, taking it right off her stick on the back check. Drill thought about the stretch pass, instead goes to the near side, bounces around for Leffler. Leffler has Wilbert backside. Leffler keeps it herself and forces the save as Wilbert goes in behind the goalie, and we're going to see a whistle, and I think we're going to get goalie interference on Katie Wilbert. Wilbert doesn't like the call. Jeff Matthews was screaming as soon as the contact was made on his freshman goalie, Kayla Bush, and it'll be Wilbert to the box. Her first penalty of the day, the second on the Beacons. And just after they were really creating, they'll have to kill off a second penalty. Puck bounces past the point there of Schwartz. Bush comes out to play it as Cramp was there, and Cramp's nearly interfered with by the goalie, accidentally, but still could have been a penalty if there had been more contact there. It certainly wasn't Wilbert's intention to make contact with Bush as she tried to slow herself down into the crease. Amherst has had one penalty thus far as Kennedy makes the glove save on Glennon. That penalty, though, was kind of an abbreviated penalty in that it started in the second period for 33 seconds and then a minute 27 to start the third. Beacon's able to get a little bit of a respite between the beginning and end of the power play. Here's Elisa Shue back out top for Glennon, backside, looking for Leslie Schwartz. Behind the net, it's Wyatter, who's been able to create a ton on the power play thus far. Glennon shot, Kennedy makes the save, but Wyatter is in there and really making things difficult for Kennedy. She's a big body, listed at 5'8", but done a really good job of muscling herself into a good spot in front of the net. Shot from distance, knocked down, puck still loose. Burham will push it towards the near boards. 50 seconds gone by on the man advantage on the penalty by Katie Wilbert for goalie interference. Up top, another chance for Avery Flynn. Another save from Kennedy. Puck is loose in the crease. Kennedy trying to cover up and gets the whistle. That puck was still loose, but the referee lost sight of it. Eventually ended up in the back of the net off the stick of an Amherst player well after the whistle. 38 seconds to go on the man advantage. 10:08 to go in the game. Amherst continues to lead 2-1. A pair of goals in the second period, less than 4 minutes apart. It was Riley Glennon and Stephanie Nomikos to give the Mammoths a 2-1 advantage after Rachel Burham scored late in the first. Behind the net with it, it's Buddington working against the pair of Mammoths, and she's stripped of the puck by Pohl. Pohl up top for Nomikos, right back for Pohl. Below the goal line, it's Daly. Here's Nomikos, who scored from the slot after a number of chances on a broken play, shot just wide as Ryan had lost the stick, essentially 5-on-3.5 there. Up top, Nomikos with 4 seconds to go on the man advantage. Wilbert already at the edge of the box, and the Beacons back to 5-on-5. Not out of trouble yet, though. Daly backside. Great look for Park, and a better play by Cramp to break it up, and now Kennedy will hold on to it. It's interesting. There are no fans in attendance for all UMass Boston home games. I heard no kind of audio, no kind of stick slapping there from Bush, the goalie. So often you hear goalies making sure that their players know it. But it was deathly silent here in the rink. And that could have been costly for Amherst if the Beacons had been able to go the other way with Wilbert coming out of the box. Far side picked up by Wilbert for a moment. The Beacons trying to get a clearance and finally do so. It's Wilbert with Leffler to her right. Finds Leffler, 1v1 with Avery Flynn. And Flynn's long sweeping stick able to break up the play right at the blue line. Far side dumped in. That's Holubiak. Able to pick up the puck is Shantz, just out of the reach there of Wilbert. Leffler putting some pressure on. Wilbert to her knees, and she'll dump it in as the Beacons will get some new skaters on. Franciscowicz staying on to provide a little bit of forecheck pressure. 8:25 to go. Giving chase here is Julia Weiss, the freshman out of Rye, New York. Burum with it. And it'll come all the way out of the zone. It'll be interesting as Burum breaks it up. Already with one goal, uses her long reach. Burum 1v1 with Bush. Backhand shot and score! Rachel Burum scores not one, but 2 goals. And it's with 8:06 to go. It is a 2-2 hockey game. She's already got one puck. You might as well save this one as well. Her first collegiate multi-goal game. And the Beacons right back in it. The last time these two teams played all the way back in December of 2015, it was another lefty, another senior, Jenny Curry, who scored a pair of goals in a eventual 4-2 win for Amherst, but she scored the first and fourth goal of the game to tie it at 2 in the third period. The Beacons hoping for a similar plot and a different ending as Burum coming up big on that play, using her long reach. We've seen it so often from the Amherst defenseman. Well, Burum, easily the tallest Beacon with no Anna Gustafson today, listed at 5'8", and a backhand shot that just snuck over the right leg of Kayla Bush to tie this game at 2 with 8 minutes remaining. Kelsey Ryan will cycle it around. Nomakos has a little bit of pressure on her. Coming out the other way is Daly. Daly has her pocket picked. A great job of poke checking away just at the moment that Daly wanted to get the shot off. We've seen Jane Andrill come up with a number of big-time defensive plays today. Liz Cramp looking to hold off the senior captain, Kenzie McDonald. Cramp is absolutely fearless, the freshman out of the Honeybake program in Michigan, one of the most respected junior women's programs in the country. Good job keeping it in by Shantz, who had a goal and an assist the other day, scoring her first collegiate goal against Castleton. Maggio couldn't quite get there, and picking it up on the far side is Pohl. Pohl, though, has her pocket picked by Franciscowicz, who's seeing more time today with no Anna Gustafson, and she's playing well. Leffler with Franciscowicz to her right. She just elects to dump and will pick the pocket there of a Mammoth. Franciscowicz trying to push it across for Wilbert, who has it behind the net. Wilbert holding off Wyotter. Wyotter finally pokes it loose, and it's right back to Wilbert. Centering feed off the stick of Bush. Leffler's shot goes right into the pads there of Glennon. Glennon still with it. Glennon with 2 Beacons coming back. Kennedy well off her crease, able to make the save in the slot. And the Beacons, a little bit of contact there as Franciscowicz gets knocked down with a hand on her shoulder. Not enough for the referees to blow their whistle. Again, just 3 penalties, 2 in the second and 1 in the third. 6:04 to go in a 2-2 hockey game. Here's Burum. Can she get a hat trick? High shot over the glove there of Bush. What a story that would be for Rachel Burum. Again, did not play her first 3 years of college, went to Quinnipiac University, not intending to play collegiate hockey, played a little bit of club, decided she wanted to play for a more competitive team, came to UMass Boston, shot from Burum again. Bush easily able to make the save. And Burum, in her 13th collegiate game, scores not just her first goal, but her second goal as well to tie it here late in the third. And now we've got a 2-2 game with 5:25 to play. Beacons putting the pressure on the Mammoths. Here's Park from the circle, whips one high and wide. Good look from Jana Park. Below the goal line, it's Kate Pohl. Pohl back up top for Nomakos. For Pohl from the circle, her shot goes off the skate of Kelsey Ryan. Beacons have been doing a good job of getting any part of their body in front of some of these shots from distance for Amherst. There's a look that gets into the pad of Kennedy, another kick save. She had 30 saves through the first 2, easily over 40 at this point. Shot from distance again. A Beacon flies in. That time it was Cramp. denying McDonald a look on target. 4:41 to play. Amherst without their timeout. The Beacons still have theirs. Shot from distance. Kennedy the save and holds on the look from Kate Pohl. 4:32 to go as Kennedy ends up with Carly Daly on top of her. And we'll get what looks like 5 new skaters for either side. Lots of conversation on the Beacons bench as assistant coach Kayla Friesen talks to the 3 defensemen while Danielle Blanchard talks to her forwards. I do wonder if and when Danielle Blanchard will kind of mix and match her lines. With the Beacons short on skaters, just 10 forwards today, they've gone with a couple of players who typically are top 6 forwards on the third line, trying to get some production from all 3 lines. And Rachel Burum has scored both goals on the third line, the center. But could they mix and match and maybe go to just 6 or 7 forwards late in this game to try to get even more looks and a potential game winner? That's just a hypothetical here as Leffler out there with Franciskowitz and Wilbert, her line that's been playing all game. She dumps that one in. They're going to say she was across the red line. Franciskowitz gets tripped up, and Amherst will have a chance to clear the zone. Bouncing puck just over the stick of Glennon, who has one of the 2 goals for the Mammoths today. Looking for just their second road win of the season in 5 total tries. Burum easily the star of the game for the Beacons, clears the zone, and now she'll give chase. Good job turning and clearing it back into the Beacons' end by Stewart. Off the boards, it's Kozik, who has an assist on the first goal. Haven't heard the assist on the second goal. With speed, it's Schwartz. Schwartz across the red line. Schwartz into the zone. Schwartz still with it. Centering feed shot goes just wide from Julia Weiss. Good play there from Leslie Schwartz, who is a big-time playmaker. 15 assists in 34 collegiate games. Still looking for that first collegiate goal, but she set up Julia Weiss, who just deflected that one wide. 2:53 to go. In-zone draw for the Mammoths. They win the face-off, but Park trying to leave it off for defenseman, just a bit too strong there. Cycled in, giving chase is Kate Pohl. Pohl the first one to it. As there's a heavy little hip check into Park. No call coming on Wilbert, who's already been called once today for a penalty. That was the second one the Beacons were able to successfully kill off before tying this game at 2. Kelsey Ryan shovels it out into the neutral zone, and it's knocked down by Wilbert. Wilbert, McDougall, and Ryan out on the ice right now for the Beacons amongst the forwards. Here's Pohl from the circle. Easy glove save for Kennedy, who, when Kennedy is on, she just seems to see the puck extremely well, and that's been the case today. She's had a couple of glove saves where I don't know how she's been able to see through the amount of traffic both from her own team and the opposing team. But that's why Victoria Kennedy's a collegiate goalie, and I can barely skate. Little bit of a difference in terms of the athleticism. Chance here for the Beacons. Puck flipped ahead for Kozik, but just a little bit behind her. There was some space if that puck had stayed along the near side. Skating with it is Avery Flynn. Flynn pushing it ahead for Wyotter, who loses the puck right at the red line. Puck is loose and sent into the Beacons, and no icing here with 1:45 to go. If this game stays tied at 2 or even potentially at 3, we would have a 5-minute overtime. First goal wins. There would not be a shootout as Kozik will dump it in and head off to the bench. The Beacons getting 3 new skaters out there. Cramp stays on to put some pressure on the Mammoths in their own zone. Under 90 seconds to go in regulation. UMass Boston led it 1-0 after 1. It was Amherst 2-1 after 2. And now the Beacons looking to get 2 here in the third and stay home with the win. Behind the net, it's Wilbert. Wraparound chance. Backhand chance there from McDougall is denied by Bush. The freshman playing well in her first collegiate start. Shot from Maggio. A little bit of a knuckler that makes its way in on Bush. Behind the net, McDougall tries to center it, but the first player there is Glennon. Under a minute to go, kept in by Ryan. Ryan shovels it in for Wilbert. Bouncing puck, still loose, and Bush covers up. Smart play by the Manhattan Beach, California native. 51 seconds to go, and Beacon's looking a little bit feisty right now in the offensive zone, creating some real chances. Manages 5 shots in the second period. They're probably close to 10 or even over that here in the third. Burham, who has both goals, wins the faceoff for the Beacons, but it's Jana Park picks it up after the team's battle on the boards. Park tries the stretch pass, knocked down by Burham and kept in by Cramp. Cramp shot from the slot, glove save from Bush, and she holds on. 37.8 seconds to go. Danielle Blanchard looks at the bench, wonders if she should make a change. She's going to keep this same group out there. Cramp, Kozik, and Burham. So Sydney Boyle sits, and they put Cramp out there with these two forwards who have played well together all season long. There's the shot from Shots that's knocked down by Carly Daly. Daly one-on-one with the goalie, shoots, and Kennedy a huge save. Whew. Great looks on either end, and Carly Daly, the Allston, Mass native, that would have been a little bit of a homecoming for her. I mean, unless she goes and plays at BU or Harvard, she's not going to get much closer to Allston, Mass than UMass Boston. And a big-time stop from Kennedy. Still 25 seconds to go. We've seen great chances from either side in this final minute of regulation. Behind the net, it's Wyotter, senior captain out of Troy, Michigan. Up top, Avery Flynn, far side for Nomakos. Nomakos' shot gets all the way through, and another save from Kennedy. Both of these goalies look so calm when everybody else is a little bit frantic. And to be fair, everybody else is about 10 people working the game and the 15 skaters and a couple of coaches. Another face-off win by Wyotter, purposely trying to win it down below the goal line. Here's a chance. Good poke check from Buddington, bouncing around 2-1, and that will do it. We're going to overtime. Rachel Burham's second collegiate goal, her second goal of today, ties the game at 2 late in the third period. And we head to overtime. Just a 2-minute break, so if you need to, grab a quick drink, a quick bathroom break, and be back. First goal wins. You don't want to miss a potential overtime winner. Now, in conference play, you play 3-on-3. As I look over, I believe, just checking out, we're going to still see 3-on-3 in non-conference play. So that is a Division III rule across the board. If you haven't watched an overtime yet this year, it's exhilarating, and realistically, we should see some good chances on either side. The Beacons have some great options with skaters like Kozik, Cramp, Leffler, and Ryan. On the opposite side, I mean, I'm sure we'll see some Elisa Shue. We've seen great work from Jana Park. Angelina Wyotter's certainly a talented player. Carly Daly, and then got to put out some defense in there. Leslie Schwartz is a great skater. All of these Beacons defensemen are pretty good skaters, but especially a player like Corinne Tretchell. The options are endless. The goal from Rachel Burham came at 11:54. It was Kaylee Kozik's second assist of the day, her 7th on the season. She now has a team-high 11 points, tied with Liz Cramp for the team lead with 7 assists. Shots in that third period much more even. 16 for Amherst, 10 for the Beacons. The Mammoths out-shooting the Beacons 48-22. 46 saves for Victoria Kennedy, which ties her career high against Conn College. For Anna Kriesel, who is in net now, and now is listed in the stats, after Kayla Bush was listed in the stats the first 2 periods. Kriesel has made 20 saves on 22 shots. So we'll go into the assumption it's now Kriesel in net versus Bush, who was listed as the starter and was credited through the first 2 periods. 3-on-3, quick chance for Daly in tight. Kennedy, and it's through the 5-hole on a goal right off the faceoff. Just 8 seconds after the faceoff, it's the local Carly Daly who scores. It's Daly's team leading 4th goal of the season, her team leading 8th point. And the Mammoths Well, they needed 8 extra seconds, but they pick up a 3-2 win. Heartbreak for the Beacons, who are now 0-2 at home here in overtime. Victoria Kennedy, tremendous today. 46 saves, ties a career high, but in the end, the face-off win. And Daly, with that tremendous speed, able to slip one through the 5-hole. And it's the Mammoths who win it 3-2 in overtime. We'd like to give a quick shout-out to our production crew before we wrap up here on the Beacons Broadcast Network. Thanks so much for watching today's non-conference meeting here on the Beacons Broadcast Network. My name is Seth Orensky, your producer and play-by-play broadcaster. Tam Landry, our director. Gina Albano on camera. For all the people working today's contest, we hope you enjoyed it. In the end, it's Amherst 3, UMass Boston 2 in overtime in the Beacons non-conference finale.